Oh my gosh, hello. Welcome to Fire Emblem. I guess to start off, this is just going to be a walkthrough, but in the future I plan on doing Iron Mans and so forth. My name is Flux. I have been recently inspired by a recent addition to the Fire Emblem franchise to kind of just rekindle my inner passion for Fire Emblem. And so far I've been using a bit of spare time to just kind of go back through these old Fire Emblem games, 6 through 7, 8, and just really wanting to kind of show them off and have a little bit of fun. And, you know, they're really well explored. There's a lot of popular YouTubers out there right now doing, like, Fire Emblem content, or at least I would compare popular in the sense that they have a good number of views for the up-to-date Fire Emblem videos, and that's relevant to me. And they've relatively explored these games fairly thoroughly, so this isn't going to be groundbreaking by any means of the imagination, but I figure why not just have a fun little time? Just maybe show someone something new if I happen to reach someone. Not to mention, I love these games, and dear God, do I want to play it again. I am just going to go ahead and start by picking Hector Hardmode. I'm going to presume that a majority of people, anyone watching this, actually knows a little bit about the game, but for the sake of this being a little bit of a walkthrough, I'll go ahead and try to explain things as I go in a non-demeaning manner as to not mansplain to the audience. We're going to enter some information. My name, as we said, was Flux. I hope I already said that at least. And we're just going to go ahead and misspell that very well. Oh, yep, there we go. Much better, 3 O's. Awesome. So this little symbol next to my name, it is my affinity. That'll become a bit more relevant later. Honestly, the tactician bonus, in my opinion, is not crazy relevant, but let's go ahead and at least just pick something else. Wind. That affects at least, gosh, I want to like say 7 or 8 members. I don't know, so a stupid amount of the cast, if not like the majority of them. And I am male. Can I actually switch my gender? I can. I am now female, Fluxy. Alright, let's do it. Frankly, never messed with that. I didn't realize Mark could be a girl. I don't know if Mark turns into Markina or anything. For the sake of this being a walkthrough, I guess I will go ahead and let the text run for a tiny moment, but it, you know, actually, nah. The story's out there somewhere already. We're just gonna go to the gameplay. I'm gonna lose focus and so get tired if I walk through the whole story of this. Too many people, I feel like, have done it before, and this game is so old. If anyone is watching this, to be reminded by the story, I don't know, maybe I'm making a fallacy. But Hector's really missing his brother. He wants some bro love. Unfortunately, he's going to have to make do with Matthew. So overall, this game is pretty cool. I won't be going over the story, but I will go over some of the basic core mechanics that at least will be relevant to what I'm doing on the screen at the time. So, in brief rundown, let's go ahead and talk about these 2 units. We'll start with, not Matthew, we'll start with Hector, since he's kind of the main guy. We picked Hector hard mode, after all. So, he starts at level 1, as our buddy... Oh, no, Matthew starts at 2, I apologize. Hector starts at level 1. And he's going to be our primary lord. He wields axes in our weapon triangle of swords, lances, and axes. Considerably one of the best, if not the best, simply because of how prevalent, like, javelins and lances can be, how strong axes are with how much damage they can do. Axes are just good. The only downside, really, is their hit rate and the fact that mercenaries and myrmidons can't use them. Overall, he has really high defense. You're going to notice in his growths going forward, pretty much, he's going to be getting HP, strength, defense, maybe a little bit of skill, but frankly, the rest of his stats are going to be kind of shaky. A little bit of speed will be nice, but really, we just want Hector to become a wall so he can survive and shove hand axes in people's faces. Let's see here. So yeah, 1-2 range. He doesn't have an iron axe, but the wolf bale gives him effective damage against infantry. And what this means is not infantry on the ground, but well, yes, infantry on the ground, but specifically like the special type. I.e., let's go to the map. We're not talking about like this soldier here. We're talking about like this big bad boy in armor, Wire here, and so ultimately very good. To have this on him, and as much as it doesn't attack 2 range, it'll at least do something well, and the hand axe is perfect for that 2 range when we have to fight some archers. Overall, Hector of the Future Lords are going to be the best. If this were an Iron Man run, the second he died, the game would be over and therefore the run would be over. In this case, whenever he dies, we just have to restart the chapter. In theory, though, if Matthew here, a non-lord, were to die, the game doesn't end, and that's pretty cool. Speaking of Matthew, he's another unit who is a lot less combat focused. He has a much higher speed, and he will be consistently gaining things like speed and HP due to his growth, but the rest of it's kind of shaky. Maybe like his luck and skill will go up a bit more reliably, but other than that, you really shouldn't rely on many stats. Thankfully, the only stat you truly want, well, I guess, aside from HP, is speed on Matthew, as he has the fun mechanic of stealing from people as he's a thief. And, with that in mind, we can actually show off a little bit of how good that's going to be in this very first chapter. Overall, he's going to be useful for quite some time, probably not going to see many battles, if any at all. Oh, well, yes, he will see a few, because there's a few mandatory, especially in this first chapter here, that he has to accomplish. Nonetheless, I see him as being probably one of the best units in the game, just because you kind of have to use him to get all the best stuff in the game. And at one point you can kind of switch him out with a future thief you get, but overall Matthew's classy, he has some cool character in the story, and if I was reading the story, he'd probably be one of my favorite characters to show off. But I'm not, so we're going to go ahead and start off by using this iron sword he starts off with, and chipping down the wall. This map is kind of one of my least favorites in this Fire Emblem game, because it kind of it makes the game feel like what you don't want the Fire Emblem franchise, or at least in my opinion, to do, to feel like, where you kind of are scapegoated into one particular option. And now, I'm not to say that I'm against this in general. I do like having options limited, and so you have a small, narrow gap of what you can do to find options. But, so for this strategy, right, with my copy of the game I'm currently playing, this guy comes in with a very unfortunate amount of strength, meaning Matthew gets hit a lot. On this hard mode, Matthew cannot get this chest reliably unless I rely on a miss. And for that reason, we have to employ like a bit of a AI manipulation to get everything we want to in an appropriate amount of time. I could explain why by showing how fast this chapter can go wrong if you kind of don't manipulate it perfectly, but I won't do that because that's a lot of extra time and I don't need to do that. I'm pretty sure anyone who has an inkling of knowing what I'm talking about right now has already, very experienced what I mean, and it's annoying as hell. Nonetheless, you don't have to deal with this chapter for very long. It's just kind of fun to talk about it because, dear gosh, I love critically analyzing video games. It's, wow, one of my favorite things to do. This is kind of important right now. I'm going to be taking the lockpick from Matthew and nothing else onto Hector. I actually will take the Vulnerary onto Hector, keeping Matthew with the Iron Sword. So the reason I'm doing this, A, is because Hector's going to be seeing a bit more combat than Matthew, as much as Matthew's taking in a little bit of damage already. So one of the big key things here is, oh shit. No! Did I ruin it? Did I ruin it because I traded it already? I think I ruined it because I traded it already. Alrighty, we're back. So, the thing I had just realized that I had messed up was that we needed to give Matthew's lockpicks to Hector a bit differently. So we're going to make sure to open the door first, then trade off lockpicks for this strategy. We're also going to give Hector that Vulnerary just to be extra certain of our battle plan, because RNGs does matter a crap ton. And we're going to wait. So our goal is to keep Hector as topped off as possible in HP. We never want to see him get low, and it kind of sucks because you don't get too many vulneraries very early on. You have to buy some if you really want a lot, compared to like a lot of other early starting times in later Fire Emblem games. So giving our buddy Hector the Wolf Bale increases his chance to hit, meaning he will kill the soldier. He's going to take damage probably from the archer. It's going to have a pretty good hit against him. So we're going to equip the Wolf Bale just to make sure the soldier dies, and there's no risk of it. Normally the hand axe has a pretty good chance, but I believe this increases the hit to be like guaranteed. We're going to move Matthew up here, however, to show off the thief stealing shenaniganery. Alright, good sign. Not being hit by that spear and not taking 6 damage is a pretty nice little convenience for us. It's not mandatory for the plan, but it certainly does make things go a lot smoother. You almost always have to account for this archer hitting you because it's he just has such great hit against Hector. So cool fact here. So Thief here, his AI is just like, I opened this chest, that's pretty neat. I used my lockpicks, that's pretty neat. I can use my lockpicks on this door. That's pretty neat. Unfortunately, I don't remember the AI perfectly, but I do know this much. Hector goes down here, right? So we're going to talk about the more important things of ending the chapter as early as possible. Because this chapter is really rough with only 1 vulnerary, and you can't stick around. I die in 2 hits, so we're not going to attack him on player phase, we're going to attack him on enemy phase by letting the boss initiate the attack. I'm also going to heal up to not accidentally kill myself by taking too much damage by the archer and the boss wire here hitting me. We are also not going to let this man here risk going all the way down and stealing with his lockpicks. We are going to, or not stealing his lockpicks, but like escaping for whatever reason. We're going to take the red gem, the thing we truly want, because we still have our old lockpicks, and keep this so we can start making some money. And at the moment, we have none of it. That red gem will sell for a very pretty price. We'll go ahead and look at it to see how much. I believe it's 2,500 though, which will be a nice little dent into our starting gold. Already, some of these are like really cool little lines and whatnot. Overall, the story of this game is kind of silly, so I don't really care about it too much. But there are some pretty cool one-liners. I'll try to call them out when I can remember them. This is of the 3 I mentioned 6, 7, and 8. This is probably my second most well-known. Sacred Stones being my first. That's just how I started with learning all the GPA games. Just super fell in love with it when I was in middle school, though I didn't understand Fire Emblem existed, and I got babied into the system by the series with Sacred Stones. But it was a great time. Ultimately, it was still a great way for my child mind to get into the Fire Emblem series, and thank goodness too that, you know, it was made easier than some of the past entries, or else I probably would not have gotten into it. So, you know, kudos to game developers knowing that we were not going to be very ready for it, at least me, not like 12-year-old Babby Nick. So, whew, that was close. Glad we're both all right. Yeah, me too. Alright, we got enough time for one more chapter, I'm pretty certain. Let's go ahead and head into chapter 12. So, for a little while, we're not actually going to get the option to trade back those mysterious, lovely lockpicks of ours back to Matthew. We can do it immediately if we'd like, but you're going to see the predicament as we get into chapter 12 here. Let's see here. Lord Hector, that is who he is, correct. We have a lot of things. Whoa, so many units. Okay, so we're going to ignore this hot mess to our right for the, gosh, silly darn moment, and look at these Mo truckers. So, let's start with our buddies here who gained some allies. We remember Matthew, we remember Hector, and let's go ahead and start with Sarah. Let's start with Sarah. So, Sarah in the story is the kind of annoying cleric. We'll meet her buddy Urk later, and she's a really big Urk in people's sides. So, ignoring pretty lame puns built into characters' names, she has pretty alright starting speed. She probably won't be doubled if you later see combat. That said, she has 17 HP and 2 defense. If you let her see combat, you're making a terrible decision. Her con is really low, meaning she's going to be rescued really easily. 5 move, 2 magic. A very traditional, like, starting first cleric for the Fire Emblem franchise. Gaz's heal, has a vulnerary. One of the best uses she can have is, like, giving this to someone who really needs it, but ultimately, we're just going to be using her until we get another healer. Theoretically, in future runs that I'm going to have in Iron Man, her use is going to be quintessential, as she is the replacement for later healers that we possibly get until you get late game options, or, you know, if just options die. So, you know, she's a relatively inexpensive option, and technically, if you're playing Iron Man because that's your only way to understand and play the game, because you just start and play the game and don't restart whenever people die, you get Sarah for free, so you know what, that's pretty cool. And Oswin, even cooler to get this guy for free. He has a lot of damage. He starts off with a really nice B Lance rank, meaning he can use such things as, like, I believe the Silver Lance? I could be wrong. Let's just quick jump to Marcus real quick. Nope, he cannot use the Silver Lance at base. I'm bad at these games. So he can't use the Silver Lance, but it's pretty close to Silver Lance. He's one level away minimum from promoting, which will allow him using a consumable item to become a much more prominent class in the general. Not to say you would use the specific item on him instead of others, but that's a topic for another day. He gives us up with 28 HP and 13 defense to start, along with 13 strength. Even if he gets doubled, he's not taking much damage. Most characters that have weapon triangle advantage sadly do have a lot of strength, so they will chip him a bit harder than those like that say don't have weapon triangle advantage, like mercenaries and myrmidons. That said, normally I'm not a big fan of knights. The 4 movement's a big issue. But dear God, look at those stats. Oswin starts off so fast for a traditional knight with such high constitution, meaning he can wield most weapons without a problem, that with a random lucky growth into speed, he's just automatically like doubling some of the lowest speed enemies in the game. And his speed growth isn't that terrible. I think it's like 30%. He's more commonly going to be seeing HP, defense, and maybe some like strength. But even then, his resistance growth, I believe, is also like 30%. He's going to get resistance too. For a knight, that's pretty impressive. That's like cavalier levels of resistance score being thrown around. That said, other than that, he's going to just be someone we want to use sparingly at the moment. If we want to be true XP hogs about it, we're going to not give all of it to Oswin, but we're absolutely going to use him for this chapter because it is a hard mother trucker until we get off the ground. So let's go over here and look at our 6 new friends real quick. I'm going to go over them very briefly, as most of them are not my favorites, but we're going to use all of them because we have to. Eliwood. So this guy has really good growths. Let's go ahead and hover over his stats. So he has a really high HP growth, strength growth, for these games, being at 45. His skill's not bad, his speed's not bad, like he has good growths, with his defenses being still pretty solid, with the exception of like the knight characters and I think like 1 cavalier in this game. Overall, his stats for growths are great, it's a matter of getting them. So Eliwood has really crappy situations because he starts with 5 strength, doesn't do much damage since he's also limited to the weakest damage type in the game, being with swords, or the weakest might for damage, which is swords. He can't do a 2 range to safely chip for EXP or safely attempt to get a kill, meaning he's always at risk of taking damage. And the fact that your best stats coming on is luck and it's tied with your con, or I guess speed technically, it's a good stat to be fast, but this unit will pop off with good levels and feel like such a hindrance with a few bad levels, just because of how much XP it requires to get those levels and how bad he is to start. Now, the redeeming factor here is this. Eliwood will be in the story for forever. And as much as being locked in the story is kind of bad, it means he gets a special item called the one of the Heaven Seals. And that gives him a really good promotion that lets him become a paladin. The darn shame means he cannot use the Knight's Crest like, say, Lowen, or what Marcus used, to become paladins. So for that reason, I'm not really happy with him. I'm going to use him and probably just get him to like respectable level 11 by the time he's ready to promote. You know, just bare minimums. If he gets really good levels, who knows? We'll see. I mentioned him, so let's talk about Marcus. He's like a very friendly knight, and he's helping our good buddy Eliwood out. You're going to notice he's probably the best character on our roster so far just by looking at his HP, the fact that he's level 1 and has a paladin name rather than a cavalier. And that is correct. Very high strength, skill, speed, defense. Everything is really high for this level, with the exception of maybe luck, and even then better than Eliwood lol. Clearly, though, he is a level 1 paladin. People were conflicted in the past about this unit because he's a Jagan, you don't give him too much HP, or XP, wow. Yeah, you don't give him too much XP, and you need to be careful about, you know, just gimping yourself because of that. So, ultimately, we're not going to be using him too much, but we are not going to ignore the fact that his weapon ranks are near perfect. He comes with a Silver Lance to just completely one-shot anything we need to with a stupidly high hit rate in general. Pretty great strength, and the fact that his speed is 11 means he's going to forever double many things in the rest of the game. Marcus is easily one of the top 2 units, if not the best unit. Rebecca, keeping things short, we talked about Ellawood having low bases being a problem. She suffers from the exact same problem, even lower stats than Ellawood, but she can't even retaliate at 1 range. She can only chip at 2 range. Because her attack with the iron bow, the only bow she can use at base, only gives her 10 attack. It is going to be a struggle to give Rebecca kills, and because her speed is 6, she's not going to be doubling things as commonly, but there are some units she can double. It's just the units she can, she probably won't be doing much more than chip. So, trash unit. Lowen. I love this kid. He starts off with 7 defense and 7 strength and 7 speed. 7 movement, being a cavalier. He has 23 HP. He is overall fantastic for level 2 for his stats. I love him. Now, his growths aren't great. His growths are probably the most mixed bagged of the Cavaliers, in my opinion, simply because of the amount of 30% he has, if I remember correctly. His best growths are in his HPs, like luck and defense. But that said, compared to the other Cavaliers, he has like a 40% defense growth. His defense is going to be nice. His speed is going to be growing at an average, and his HP is always going up as well, typically. He ends up being really good. He makes use of really good weaponry too because of his con being so freaking high. He can just tank so many attacks coming chapters that are so quintessential. He promotes into being probably one of the best paladins of the 3 in Hector hard mode because he gets the earliest amount of XP compared to Saint and Kent, who also on promotion don't get as much constitution, if I remember correctly, as compared to Lowen, meaning Lowen will always be able to use like the best effective weapons, being slowed down the least. There is an argument to say that at one point it doesn't matter how much speed you have because you won't be doubling, but you know, you never know what your growths are going to give you, so better to have just the high con as a reliable stat, and I like that about Lowen. He's reliable. I love him. Terrible that he has a crappy taste in lovers, as Rebecca is over here just casually sitting in the corner holding a bow really nicely. Bartray and Dorcas, I'm going to talk about them at the same time. Big differences is 1 HP, 1 level, and a whole lot of bases. So Bartray is going to have a bit more base strength and a bit more defense. Dorcas is a bit more skill and speed, and that's basically the biggest difference. He has 1 more con too, which is big for the sake of this iron axe, or no, not iron axe, sorry, one of the future axes that you can hold, like the steel axe, if I remember correctly. It's been too long. I'll have to re-look that up for future episodes. And so, the big thing is Dorcas starts off with 6 speed, Bartray starts off with 3. Bartray will be doubled by too many units, and you're going to see that in this first chapter being a big problem for him. And so, primarily what we're going to have to do is keep Bartray alive, and we're going to try giving him the XP of levels and keep Dorcas as a kind of chip unit since his bases are pretty good, but his growths are kind of terrible. Let's see here. Bartray comes with 1 less weapon rank, which kind of sucks, but does start with the hand axe that he can at least use. His accuracy is a bit worse than Dorcas's because his skill is low, and his avoid is worse because his speed is lower. That said, he does grow decently. His bases are better. I don't think he's ever going to be seen as a fantastic unit, but he has merit and he has value. Dorcas simply has more value now. Well then, with all that needless talking out of the way, let's go ahead and tackle the chapter. So, how I'm thinking about it. I'm going to move up these units first. Realistically speaking, Matthew is so weak. If we take out his defense, it's defense of 3. This guy attacks for 14, deals 11 damage to Matthew, 2 shots Matthew. Not good. 2 shots Sarah, similar position. These 2 units are the only that can really handle this northern area, so I'm going to have to rely on them. And thank goodness, of course, right, we have the Vulnerary on Hector. Darn shame in his last level he didn't gain defense, but we don't play by that rule, those games, because this game has been proven to have been beaten on like 0% growth, and I freaking think negative % growths. Don't know how that's possible. I never really got into modding that much, but sounds super dope. If anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. I'd love to try that out. Probably for this game or Sacred Stones. I don't actually know if it would be possible for Sacred Stones. But I'm certain it's 0% for Sacred Stones, for sure. That game is just in general too easy. let alone the fact that Seth can pretty much one-man the game for quite some time, if not the whole game, especially with some stat boosters. That said, this is not Sacred Stones, this is regular Fire Emblem. I'm trying to keep Hector onto this effective tiling as much as possible. I put him onto the forest rather than, like, say, this mountain because I want him to take on most of these Peg Knights where he's a bit more safer and has weapon triangle advantage to mess around. I'm going to try doing my best to, like, get Oswin to just keep all of these guys over here. As much as Oswin does face weapon triangle disadvantage against these Axemen, because his high defense is so good and his speed is just barely high enough, most of these guys don't double him off bat, which is very critically important. I'm going to also go ahead and apply a strategy to see if I can ever tempt the AI to get them onto Matthew for a single blow, just to give one less possible RNG chance for Hector to be hit. I'm always checking to make sure, or at least I'm going to attempt to, mark my words, to make sure my units are safe. Archers over there, bandits over here. Cool, and we're gonna look at these units. I've already mentioned that I don't care for Rebecca too much. I'm gonna keep that statement true and send her up here to talk to this village. It has a very special item known as the Secret Book, and you'll see what we do with that later, kids. Overall, however, we kind of want Marcus helping these guys out within, probably by turn 3, I want him moving up here, over by this armory, just so we can get to Hector by turn 4. Biggest thing is because this guy, I believe, like turn 2 or 3, starts moving over and makes serious advancements. And because of this corner, I have to kind of keep Sarah and Matthew in and slowly move them down. They're always going to be pincered by either the bandits or these Peg Knights, and that's terrible. I hate it. I don't want that. So we got to make a little bit of forward progress. And to do so, we're going to put our buddy here on the fort. Forts, as you can see, give a little bit better armor and avoidance. We're going to place him here, put the Iron Sword down. Awesome. And normally, I want to put, like, Bartray or the likes of Dorcas down here. I am going to put Dorcas down here because he won't get doubled. Bartray will, however, get doubled. We're going to go ahead and move Ellawood a little bit, but we're also going to come down here for a very important purpose. We are going to trade Dorcas... No, wrong one. Bartray, thank you. The hand axe to Marcus. Because Marcus is freaking god, and he can use every weapon he wants to, with the exception of bows. And so, for that reason, we're going to give him a 2-tile ranged weapon. Ranged weapon. So he can start just massively murdering people. That barbarian is really brutal, or bandit, sorry, is really brutal, because if you send Bartray to handle him with his iron axe, he will double the fuck out of Bartray. It is not fun. Bartray, like, gets sent to, like, 1 or 2 HP every time I try it. Oh, hey, look, more strength. I would like defense because this chapter is really rough to handle if you don't get the random point of defense in the early parts. Oh, I'm getting a little bit lucky with these rolls, but this is also why, it can be rough. This is also another reason why we equip the Wolf Bale, because I want to make sure every hit that I'm chancing I have to get to be a hit. Yeah, equipping the hand axes, mayhaps there's a better argument for it, but I want every time that Hector's getting hit to at least have some value in the counter-strike. Like, yeah, every coin flip of these hits is coming my way, and I want Hector to at least almost be able to kill someone because of it. Thankfully, we're not quite dead, though we've gotten hit by quite an astronomically high amount of these blows. I think we have to send Marcus up a lot quicker than anticipated. Normally, it's not that bad. Hector dies? Hector just dies. Alright. We're gonna restart. Awesome. And we're back. We are going to find a different plan. I think we're going to just move Hector up here and say, screw the chance of that archer hitting us. And hope for the best. And see just what difference happens. I really like the animations, and it gives me more chances to, like, recollect my thoughts. Depending on how many times we actually wipe in the run, though, I think that's probably going to be the only time in a while. I'm certainly freaking hoping that it shouldn't be a mandatory trait. However, because of our new position, we are going to say screw that and going to go ahead and tackle our units down a bit differently. Can this bandit reach that tile? No, but he can reach Matthew, and that is fine. Matthew is great against bandits wielding his sword. We're going to do the same pretty much strategy, because the only thing that really happened was we were terrible at the video game. So, Let's go ahead and put Dorcas back here. Good, Dorcas. Awesome. And we're trading buddies some hand axes. I love it. And we'll keep Bellawood in safety. Oh yeah, 10 XP. Do that deet deet deet. The deet 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 being a very specific maneuver where they dance around their feetsies in an avoidance. Matthew kindly taking XP away from the likes of Oswin. Oh hey look, resistance. Now we'll die 2 mages in 2 hits, but a little bit more respectably. Alright. So, another factor about this game, we do not get to keep that great, amazing level up, sadly. Boo. And we're going to see if any of our units possibly get different level ups due to it. You typically, it's kind of frowned upon to kind of play this game and reset just for level ups, because at that point, you should just play with like a hack or some way to make it so you have either like max level ups, no level ups, or average level ups, because then at that point you're just manipulating the run. So I assure you, any death I have is out of my own sheer stupidity and not out of a desire to see that sweet blessed speed defense level onto Hector. Oh my, yes, that is what we want to see. We want to see the archer making stupid decisions like that. Now then, we're going to focus on this top part first, because as you can see, we have 3 very excited Peg Knights and 2 very squishy boys and girls down here. So, I'm thinking I'm going to equip the Javelin just so I can attack this archer next turn and take out this guy right here. I want to just take out anyone that can possibly swing over to Miss Sarah and Mr. Matthew. That said, it's going to be a lot more difficult than thought. So, I think actually what I have to do is I have to send this guy down here. Okay. Alright, awesome. Well done, Hector. Oh yeah, look XP. Very cool. So, looking at their spaces of influence, pretty much know we're safe, and that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I just yawned because of that. That's how cool it is. So we're gonna heal Matthew, get a little bit of XP onto Sarah, I guess. Aw, yeah. 11 XP, baby. And we're gonna rescue her. And that's that. So, down here, however, we're going to visit the shop with Rebecca. You look like you've experienced with battle. She has not a single drop yet, sir. We have a secret book. And once again, I'll tell you what we're going to do with that later. So, let's go ahead and address some people down here. This Peg Knight has 12. It's going down pretty easy. We're going to go ahead and see if we can't take him out with Lowen here. Just barely not enough. That's alright. So, we are going to trade back the hand axe from Marcus for a wee moment. Nice. Perfect. So, post that experience, we are going to do what? I don't think Lowen doubles this man's. He does not double that man's. So, we will trade the hand axe here, see if we can't chip with it. Hey, God of luck. Well done, Dorcas. I think only one bozo hits me on top of the archer. So I think Lowen's safe. He won't take 18 damage from those two. He has the sword equipped. Awesome. We're gonna go ahead and equip the iron sword. Putting Ellawood on the castle to keep him safe, give him that avoid and defense. Hector is going great.
This run even had a 90 miss him. I don't know what happened to what I deserved, but you know, that's wonderful. So, seeing as we made it past turn 2, we're going to go ahead and start looking towards making a purchase here soon in an armory. We want to purchase... what do we want? We want a couple iron axes, a lance, and a sword, mostly to round out those of the characters who don't have the basic iron equipment and have only special weapons. This includes, like Hector, for example, only having the wolf bale equip. We want to give him easily an iron axe so that he can keep the most uses of his effective weaponry up. Oh, hey, look, speed. Very nice. More speed means inadvertently more to void. Not like a stupid crazy amount in this one exact moment, but you never know. More importantly, would have mattered was doubling someone, because the faster you are, the more attacks you get on a unit. So thankfully, Hector at least did not die. He still possibly can. We'll see if the archer hits him. This is already becoming a terrible run. I don't know what I'm doing to make it more different than anything else I'm doing. Oh look, that doesn't kill. Okay, perfect. That is fine. I think the first time I just put him a bit too close and I wasn't really thinking on what forest I put him onto. Anywho, we have him on the mountain. As we can see, it's a little bit more void. It's not crazy amounts, but we need everything we can get right now, especially with the HP situation, you dig? We're going to equip the hand axe because they are actually purchasable compared to the wolf bale at this point, and we've now used, I think, like 1/3 of its uses. Yeah, an unhealthy amount. But ultimately, it's acquired us a lot of ground. So we're just going to send Marcus up here and just start killing people. Don't really care about the XP he's possibly wasting onto other... or wasting XP he could be giving the other units by letting the kills go. But in this matter, what matters more is actually succeeding the run, not caring who gets the XP. So Rebecca's going to try rejoining the team as fast as possible. We want these Peg Knights to be handled. They are not currently. So I'm going to do that. Get this one up out of our face. Very nicely done, Oswin. You and Marcus make this chapter possible. Alrighty, Hector's okay. Let's see, how many people can attack you? Not many, so I'll do that. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We'll go down here. I'm not gonna drop just yet. And so, looking at everything going on, Lowen here is going to be perfectly primed to kind of just start cleaning up and making his way up. I can't quite abuse and bring that Pegasus Knight down with him, though, at the same time. I can, however, if I do this, I believe. Nope. I put her on the fort. Not worth it. Not worth it. Giving the enemies the fort tiles by allowing them to attack on it on enemy phase is not very wise typically, and is very much so advised against. Oof. Then again, it's kind of a coin flip. Something I haven't talked about is the fact that this game pretty much has a random number system, and I'll explain what that means in like a few moments. Well, I'm just going to make sure everyone's in the same boat about our position. Perfect! Barche got the kill as I was hoping he would. So because we have something called a double random number generator, or double RNG going on, what'll happen is this. So Elwood's a terrible example because he has a 100% chance to hit. So the next opportunity I get, I'll go ahead and show it off. But, so that 43 that the bandit has, for example, for some reason, if Elwood's attack didn't kill, right, and the bandit was continuing to move and act, I'm just going to put him here to heal up, and the bandit would roll effectively 2 dice. In, like, D&D's terms, it's almost like rolling advantage or disadvantage at all times, where you always are rolling the D20 multiple times at every given time. The big key difference, though, about this is that the reason it rolls 2 numbers is to get an average. So, our stats here that determine hit rate, damage, crit, all of those are based on static values, whether our supports are up, what weapon we're wielding, our stats, those are static. The random number issue is when you determine things like hit or level ups. So when Lowen over here, who's currently dying, by the way, we're gonna have to figure out a situation going on. My buddy Ellawood here, for example, he's going to go up here and be a little bit of distraction. These guys are gonna run away for a second. And Lowen's gonna peel back. All the way. And we're just gonna have Hector, Ellawood have a real fun time. So, perfect. Osmond is gonna attack this guy. Oh my goodness. That's okay. He's gonna miss. Or not miss, but he's gonna no damage both times. I would like that guy gone because he's the biggest threat to Hector right now, and frankly, that's the biggest thing I need to deal with. Any threat to Hector. Okay, so Hector's just gonna run, I think. He's gonna go down here, equip the Wolf Bale. No, not equip the Wolf Bale. Just use the Vulnerary. And yeah, we're gonna move you here and just try to one-shot that guy. Screw this bandit. Not into him. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Damn shame. I'll remember it sooner or later, I'm certain of it. If anyone's watching this and wants to remind me, by all means, please let me know if I don't end up catching up and getting back to... Oh, random numbers, that's right. I knew mentioning anything like that would help me remember. So, because of the random numbers, you take the average, meaning if both the rolls go one way or the other, it becomes averaged out, if I'm understanding that correctly. Meaning, if you have a higher percent chance to hit, you actually have a much higher percent than actually displayed. That's why in certain areas on the internet, you're going to see hit rate being displayed hit rate and true hit rate. Yeah. So Hector, my dude, is going to have a 78% rate. So because of that, and because of how the averaging works, you typically have a better time rolling higher if your rolls are rolling higher. But if you roll low numbers and both are low, they'll average to whatever that low number is, meaning, wow, I'm sorry, ignore me, I'm brain farting. Point being, low numbers hit really low, big numbers hit really big. All you really need to get out of that one. Yeah, we're gonna reset the brain after that word vomit for a second. Can Ellawood do it? Can Ellawood take out the bandit? Yeah, he can. Good guy, Ellawood. Perfect. Awesome. Lowen, you go sit over here and be all real pretty. You get healed up, buddy. So, let's go ahead and get Osmond some experience, as it's a little bit more efficient on him than it is Marcus, though not by a whole hell of a lot, sadly. We're also going to go ahead and move this cute little boy all the way closer to the shop. Not quite to the fort, sadly, but that's okay. We're also, yeah, I think we're going to move like so, and give Sarah something to heal. Does that put her in range? It totally does. Oh, no, that's okay. We won't let Sarah heal this turn. That's all it means. Awesome. So this chapter is pretty much almost wrapped up. I'm going to say that this is coming into a close for how long an episode should be. I'm not sure how long it'll take to actually upload the full game. I have quite a bit of spare time on my hands, and as much as I've been playing Three Houses, not to date this by any means, but to date this, I've been playing that a bit, but I really wanted to go back to a slightly more constricted area of gameplay where you don't really get to force where all the units' strengths and weaknesses are. And now you can't really do that in the most recent version of the game too, or addition to the game, but it's a lot easier to manipulate what everyone does and how useful each unit can be, rather than how they turn out and yada yada. For that reason alone, I just kind of wanted to replay these old GBA classics. They're pretty, they fill a little bit of that nostalgic gimmick. They're really nice to look at too, so with all these in mind, it's easier to talk over them. Oof. That's a pretty poor set of damage this guy does. Yeah, of course Marcus kills. How much damage does Matthew do? 12. And then 14, but then he goes all the way down there. Okay, I have a strategy. So, Matthew's gonna hit this guy. Do 12 damage. Awesome. Sweet. Even better with a miss. Perfect. Hector's gonna come down. He's gonna bring the Axe of Justice. Weep! Very nicely done, Hector. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna trade some things right quick. We're gonna trade the red gem. We're gonna rescue Hector. And we're gonna run all the way down here. We're gonna start sending the cavalry up. And by specifically the cavalry, I mean Lowen. I don't think the other units are gonna be there in time. We're gonna take off him. We're gonna drop him down. Hector's just gonna be fine. These three have served their purpose. They don't need to be here any longer, I don't believe. Oh, Rebecca never did her purpose! The thing I said was gonna happen later, I never did that! Alright, well, we're gonna do that now. Joke's over, boys. We selling that shit. Oh yeah, let's buy one vulnerary. Right now, actually. I do want one. We do need to do a few set of things, though, right quick. Armory. And so, because we don't have Merlinus or anyone to hold on to items, anytime we obtain an item past our 5 item slots, we're going to be at a very severe lack of currency. Item space. Wow, currency. Well, I don't know why I said that. For that reason, I went ahead and de-equipped everything Marcus had by trading it off to Hector, and I'm just going to go ahead and buy what I mentioned earlier. I'm going to pause for a second. Alright, I think my dog is subsided, since we're getting to the tail end, and I would like to finish this up. We are going to go ahead and buy 2 iron axes. Marcus can use these, which is very helpful. Same with Hector. We're going to buy an iron lance because, well, Marcus can use these, and that's super helpful. And an iron sword because Elwood can use that rather than his rapier if ever he needs to. It means I don't have to trade anything else off. Later, we're going to buy more equipment. Just for now, that's the only worthwhile equipment we can wield at the moment, sadly. So, let's go ahead and abuse the time that we have while the boss is still running around. And just get some more XP for Sarah. Typically, this is kind of how you want to play it a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to try not abusing the game's mechanics by any means, but I am going to go into the arena at one point, which you'll see what that is if you don't know how that works already. And some people claim, like, the arena is abusing, you should do no arenas, but I find the arena really freaking fun, and for frick's sake, I'm gonna do it a lot. And by a lot, I mean at least until someone dies, probably. We'll see if I keep anyone permanently dead. Who knows? It is fun. It does make the runs more interesting if you have someone you normally like to use just not with you anymore, but, I also do want this to be something people possibly could reference for general guides for units, no matter what their levels might end up being. And if that ends up being the case, it's kind of helpful to show off all the units and where they're useful. So this guy is all that's left. Bosses will almost always give a near level of XP for people of relative level. So I'm going to just try getting the last hit onto someone like Lowen here, for example, if possible. It's going to be kind of difficult, but thankfully we just equipped some very nice items to help get anyone we want very low with the likes of Marcus. So let's look for Sarah to heal anyone else before we're done here. Very nice. Hector's going to get a nice whopping big fat heal. ultimately, as much as we would like to see a really good level onto Lowen, we ultimately just want to give him XP. We just want to get him closer to the Paladin ability of promotion. Around level 15, I would say, is going to be the time we start looking to promote Lowen. If his growths are really bad, we'll probably promote him at level 15. If they're decent and he can survive it, he'll probably make it to the levels of 18. We'll see. XP grinding is really, really real in this game. Or at least in some games. Not as bad as I think as it happens in 6, but this one is pretty bad. Or it can be at times. Definitely nowhere near as bad as like 3 houses with maddening mode. That is brutal amounts. That's like anti-leveling amounts of stoppage. Alright, and let's get a nice level, Lowen. Hell yeah, you got tankier. Alright, that was my buddy Lowen being really helpful. This is Flux, Nick, whatever you want to call me on the internet. You know what to do. If you actually want to inform anything that I got wrong, please let me know. I actually like talking about this game and having conversations about it, and if ever I sound like I should talk any unit, it's because I love them all and I love this game, with the exception of Rebecca and Will. They're terrible archers. Have a good day. I'll see you later.